Good morning, DFS Army. It's Craig Bennett, aka Cash Cake, here for another NBA First Look podcast. We have a nice 7-game slate on Tuesday, February 9th, 2021. Generally have pretty small slates here, but a 7-gamer on a Tuesday is really nice. I'll go through the injury news like always, talk about, we'll use DraftKings again as the backdrop, build a little sample lineup, and talk about FanDuel pricing as well. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll keep chugging and knocking these things out. But let's just dive right into it and see what we got on tap for today. All right. Like I said, we'll use DraftKings here. We'll go through everything. But the first game on tap looks to be Brooklyn at Detroit. No total on this game yet. Looks like Kevin Durant is still out with the COVID crap. Kyrie Irving is probable with that finger. They got Noah Vonleh that they just picked up, and he is probable. On the Detroit side, Frank Jackson is questionable. Dennis Smith Jr. is questionable. If you don't know, they shipped Derrick Rose off to New York to team up with his buddy Tibbs, and they got Dennis Smith Jr. In that trade. Blake Griffin is probable. Ellington and DeLon Wright are questionable, and Okafor is out for Detroit. So we'll first start on the Brooklyn side. Again, if we don't have any Kevin Durant, we've talked about this a bunch of times. You're going to want to play one of these two studs if one of them is out. So I still think I lean Harden over Irving. I think you could play either one of them, but on a slate this size, we could probably find a little bit of value. So I would start with Harden. But again, I think you're fine with either one of them. He's 10-9 on DraftKings for Harden. Over on FanDuel, he's 11K, so he's pretty expensive over there, but still very much playable. Irving's 9,500 on FanDuel and 9,300 on DraftKings. So again, I think I would want at least one of these guys in about every lineup that I build, going up against Detroit as well. They don't play defense. Joe Harris is an interesting case. 6,200 on DraftKings is a little pricey, but over on FanDuel at 5,100, extremely fair price tag on him. Kind of curious what they'll end up doing. Again with no. With no Durant, are they going to start TLC again? Or are they going to, bring Bruce Brown off the bench? But with Irving back, it should just be those two. I'm really just looking at Kyrie Irving, Harden, a little bit of Joe Harris on FanDuel, and then maybe some Jeff Green on FanDuel at 4,900. He's 5,300 on DraftKings. I don't mind playing a little bit of him. He's been playing some heavy minutes. The fantasy points haven't been there, but he's had a few good games, but should play mid-30s minutes with no Durant. Only 0.67 fantasy points per minute, so we don't really love that. So I think what we're going to start here on DraftKings, we're just going to plug Harden in, and he's going to be the guy that we'll build around here. Like I said, I think Harris is a little overpriced. And Jeff Green, I don't mind him, but I think there's better ways to go. Let's go look on the Detroit side of things. Like I said, they do not play any defense, and that would be Brooklyn. So these Detroit guys are squarely in play. Jeremy Grant, 7,800 on FanDuel, but only 7K on DraftKings. We got to slide him into this lineup here. 1.09 fantasy points per minute for the season, averaging about 36 minutes a game. Just a great matchup against Brooklyn with how bad they've been. I think they've hit the over in the last 10 out of 11 games. So they just give up a ton of points. So a guy you want to definitely look at playing. Mason Plumlee at 5,700 on DraftKings. I'm sorry, 5,800 on DraftKings, 5,700 on FanDuel. Again, I don't mind playing him as well. Bigs against Brooklyn. He should be able to do what he wants. 39, 22, 41 over his last three. If he sniffs 30 minutes, he should do really well in this matchup. So I don't mind if you want to play a little Plumlee. I'm going to stick with Grant for a little bit more, but definitely in play. I think the one thing we need to figure out, though, is these guards. If Ellington is out, if Wright is out, if we don't get any Dennis Smith Jr., Frank Jackson, they could be short on guards. That means Grant's going to handle the ball a ton. Josh Jackson could handle the ball a little bit more. He is up to 5,700 on DraftKings, 5,500 on FanDuel. 49, 24, 37, and 30. Tournament play only, but he can handle the ball really well as well. So if we miss some of these guards, he's a guy that we can look at. And that's about it for me. I don't really want to play Blake Griffin, but man, he's 5,300 on FanDuel, 5K on DraftKings. It's hard to play the guy, 14, 18, 11, and 38. The matchup's a good one, but it's just Blake Griffin's just not the fantasy guy that he was, many moons ago. So tournaments only for him. Let's move on to New York at Miami. We have a total on this one, a real low 208.5 over under. Miami favored by 6.5. Again, Derrick Rose is doubtful here for the Knicks in his debut here. Noel is questionable. On the Miami side, it looks like no Dragic, no Harkless or Silva, and Gabe Vincent is probable. So we'll start on the Knicks side again. Julius Randle, 9,100. This is not a good matchup for New York at all. Like, looking at the total is bad. I really don't like a whole lot of this game, honestly. And having a 7-gamer, I don't think we have to go here. FanDuel 9K, you got to play 2 power forwards. I mean, that'd be really the only thing I look at here. RJ Barrett is 6K across the board on both sides. Tournaments only, but again, really bad matchup against Miami. I don't think you need to go here at all. Like, I don't think we need to really get into this on the New York side, because I don't think it's a place we need to look to play on a 7-gamer. We have plenty of other places to look for stuff. If you want to take a shot on a few guys, Elf on a Shelf Peyton, 4,800 on DraftKings. He is only 5,200 on FanDuel. His minutes have been trending up back in the 30s. They were down there for a little bit, if you noticed here, 21, 23, 21, 18, but over the last 3, 31, 35, and 35. At this price, he can get you double-double up to triple-double. Even a bad matchup, I guess if you're taking a shot on a tournament play, it would probably be Peyton, just the price. So that's where I would lean right now. Again, I don't love a lot of these guys. The matchup's not good, so I would just go Elf there. And on FanDuel, it's basically Elf. I guess if you want to play little Alec Burks on FanDuel, 4,400, but tournaments only, and then Randall. On the Miami side, they should be able to do what they want to do here. Bam Adebayo is 8,700 on DraftKings, 8,800 on FanDuel. No problem playing him if you want to. Jimmy Butler is 8,700 on FanDuel, 8,300 on DraftKings. He's been on a tear since coming back. If we look at his game log here, 34, 26, 37 minutes, putting up 44, 44, 44. I mean, how consistent is that? And then a 50 burger after that. So no problem if you want to play some Jimmy Butler at all. Going up against his old coach in Tibbs as well when he's with Chicago. So, just Jimmy Butler's been on a whole new level. Kendrick Nunn could be interesting. 5K on FanDuel, 5,600 on DraftKings. With no Dragic, he should see some run here. He's a guy that can put up a ton of points. Last 2 games, 26 and 39. Should see some good minutes into the 30s. Been about a 0.84 fantasy point per minute on the season. But if we can sniff over 30 minutes for him, that's a good tag on him. Hero, 6,700 DraftKings. I don't like that. But FanDuel, he's only 5,800. I don't mind a little bit Tyler Hero, but not so much on DraftKings. So like I said, I think we could slide Nunn in the lineup, or Butler, or both. I think I'm going to put Nunn in this lineup just at price with no Dragic there. I think if things kind of got out of control, even though Vegas thinks it's going to be pretty close, I think Nunn would get run regardless. So I feel good about him in a point per dollar standpoint. But again, I don't mind any Jimmy Butler at all. I think he's squarely in play, and you could throw him in here. But when you throw Harden in there, it definitely can kind of confuse things when you're building lineups and do you have the money or not. But I do feel like that's just way too cheap there for Nunn. Like I said, Butler, definitely playable. I won't throw him in this lineup, but definitely playable. Send it over to Houston at the Pelicans. No total on this one. These guys are on a back-to-back. Houston, that is. Depot played last night. They rested John Wall and Eric Gordon. Those two will be back. Depot is doubtful, so I don't expect him to play. They've been rotating these guys out. So, and then Josh Hart is questionable on the other side for the Pelicans. On Houston, yes, we know Wood's out. Oladipo is doubtful. He shouldn't play. So it should be all John Wall, Gordon, and Boogie Cousins. Boogie Cousins struggled a little bit last night. Only 25 minutes. They ended up getting their kind of butts kicked here. Only 27 fantasy points. I'll go right back to well with him. I have no problem there. 7,400 though, his price is getting up. If we go look over on FanDuel, he is still priced at 6K. Still going to be super popular. I have no problem going back to him at all. John Wall, 7,700 on FanDuel, but cheap 7,300 on DraftKings. We're going to slide him right into this lineup because that's just too cheap for John Wall, especially no Depot. Gordon's more of a shooter. Cousins is going to be Cousins, but with no Depot on the floor, Wall can do a little bit more spacing wise and driving to the hoop. And I just like him a lot more when Depot's not on the floor. So we'll throw him in this lineup. Again, I said you can squarely play Boogie Cousins if you want to in this lineup. I don't have no problem going back to him at all. Again, he's priced up to 7,400, but he should see over 30 minutes. He's been 1.34 fantasy points per minute. It's back-to-back 3 and 4, but he should see good minutes. Eric Gordon's in play as well, but he is 6,200 on DraftKings, 5,900 on FanDuel, which is a good tag on him. So those are really the only 3 guys I'm going to look at here. I'm not going to look at anybody else. So I think you could play 2 or 3 of them. We might put Boogie in this lineup just to start here, but I don't know if we'll end up with him. But no problem going back to the well with him. On the Pelican side, again, should be a good matchup here. Ingram, 8,500 on DraftKings. Over on FanDuel, he is 8,900. He is priced up. Zion, again, I've said this a bunch of times. He's a cash play, but never a tournament play for me because the upside isn't there. 8,400 on FanDuel, 8,200 on DraftKings. And if you look at it, he's been in the high 30s, low 40s basically all year. And at this tag, I want somebody that has a chance to get me 50, and he hasn't done it. Ball, 6,300 on DraftKings, 7K on FanDuel. Steven Adams, 5,200 on FanDuel, 5,900 on DraftKings. I don't think we need to go there, but, I guess if you wanted to. Alexander Walker, no, I don't think we need to go there as well. He should see some more minutes if we don't see Josh Hart, so maybe tournaments only. Eric Bledsoe at 5,100 on FanDuel. He is priced at 6K on DraftKings. Much better play on FanDuel. But I don't think I'm going to force any of these guys in, especially on DraftKings at price. I don't think you have to. I think if I was going to look at one, it would probably be Ball or Bledsoe. But I would say Ball, if anybody, just the way he's been playing. And then on FanDuel, even at 7K, he gets those steals and those peripherals that add up. So I would definitely consider him on both sites, and he'd probably be my favorite point per dollar play. Let's move over to Golden State at San Antonio. These guys just played this game last night. 233 over under. San Antonio favored by 1.5. No Wiseman, no Looney. Over for the Spurs. No Lamar, LMA. No Derek White. He's out on this back-to-back. And Lonnie Walker is questionable. So Golden State side, we can go right back to the well here. It should be a good game again. Back-to-back 3 and 4 for these guys, but we just saw this matchup. Draymond Green just is doing everything. Played 36 minutes, put up 40 fantasy points, almost had a triple-double if he had 3 more points out of him, but didn't quite get there. But that's something we can deal with. 6,900 is getting up in price, 7,500 on FanDuel. I still think he's very much in play. But in this lineup that we're building, we're going to struggle a little bit throwing him in there. Maybe you want to go Green over Boogie. I don't mind something like that too. You can put him at the center or power forward position. Let's do that in this lineup. Why not? Guy that has triple-double upside, I know it's on a back-to-back, but it's a close spread and a high total. I don't mind playing him. Again, I don't mind playing him together. I like he's power forward eligible, but let's just do something a little different here. Again, Steph Curry, 10-4 on DraftKings. Over on FanDuel is 10-4 as well. Kelly Oubre, 6,700 on FanDuel, 6,200 on DraftKings. He's so inconsistent. Tournaments only. I can't go there. Eric Pascal was back. He played 12 minutes last game. Like it's hard to trust him. Toscano Anderson ended up playing 29 minutes last night, 23 fantasy points, 5K on FanDuel. I'm sorry, on DraftKings, 5,300 on FanDuel. Hard for me to go there at price. He's not as cheap as he used to be. I think what you're looking at here is you're going Draymond Green as your number one. Wiggins is 6,600 on FanDuel, 6,500 on DraftKings. Another guy that's just tournaments only. So Green is the cash play for me, and then Curry, Oubre, Wiggins is how I would rank them for tournaments only on that side. On the Spurs side, DeMar DeRozan is 7,800 on DraftKings. Over on FanDuel, he is 8,300, 1.14 fantasy points per minute. Again, we just saw this matchup last night. Small forward, power forward eligible, which is a little weird on FanDuel, but DraftKings, but it's the way he's been. But he's been on a tear, 44, 50, and 48 over his last 3. I think he's squarely in play if you want to play him here as well. Definitely priced up, but I would prefer him over playing Zion because he has 50-point upside like I talk about. Zion hasn't hit that, so if you're looking to play in Zion or DeMar DeRozan, I'd rather play DeMar DeRozan. Murray with no White, I like him. Young guy, no problem on a back-to-back. Put up 62 burger against this team with 8 steals. I don't think we're going to see 8 steals again, but 6,800 on FanDuel, 6,500 on DraftKings. I think he's going to be popular at price here. Even if we try to chug him in this lineup, yeah, we're not going to have enough left if we try to fit him in this lineup here. That's what happens when you fit in a Harden. I think what we're going to do is we're going to take none out, and we're going to throw Murray in this lineup and not go none there at all. I just like the upside more for Murray here. So Jakob Poeltl should get the start again at center. 5,500 on FanDuel is a great price. 6K is a little pricey. I did worry they were going to go small, but Jakob went up there and put him up a double-double, 4 blocks. So he did play 30 minutes. Again, it's pop. It's hard to say what he's going to do. But I don't mind playing him in tournaments. And, like I said, FanDuel's a good price. We do got Lonnie Walker coming back. I love the price on FanDuel at 3,500. I think that's a real fair price. A lot of these guys are cheap. Patty Mills, 3,800 on FanDuel as well. Over on DraftKings, Patty Mills is 4,400. He should get a little bit more burn as well with no White out there. Same kind of thing. We got Vassell as well. He's always makes an interesting case. 21 minutes, only put up 15 fantasy points. Like I said, with White, with Derek White being out on a rest, on a back-to-back, like I said, Patty Mills is going to get more burn. Lonnie Walker, 3,600 on DraftKings is a fair price as well. He should get good run. So if you're looking for some cheap value, maybe Lonnie Walker is the way to go here at that price. Let's throw him in this lineup. Let's throw Lonnie Walker at the small forward position here. And then we'll go back to Detroit and we'll put Grant as the power forward. That's good. We'll work this out here a little bit. Let's go back to here, San Antonio. So again, I think you're going to want one of each of this. And Draymond is my favorite in cash. And then if you're going to go on the other side is definitely Murray. Again, Murray's coming off that monster game, but still the price is down. If no Derek White on a back-to-back, he should go out there and play monster minutes again. Now, again, it's San Antonio. We'll see what they can do, but great tag on him. And again, Jakob Poeltl on FanDuel at 5,500 is cheap. If you want to get off Boogie Cousins at 6K, he's another option there. And I hope you listened yesterday. I mentioned, Boogie was going to be chalk, but I also mentioned that the pivot in your 3-max, in your single entry was Joval, and he smashed. So if you made that pivot on DraftKings, bravo to you. It worked out real well for you. And so those are the decisions you have to make when you get guys similar price points that are going to be chalk. Some nights they don't go off and they benefit you, and that would have been one of them last night. So let's move on to the next game here. We have Orlando at Portland. No total on this game. Evan Fournier is out. Michael Carter-Williams is out for Orlando. For Portland, Damian Lillard is probable. Derek Jones is probable. And Nassir Little is out. So Orlando, Vooch, 8,900. I don't mind playing Vooch, but it's hard if you're going to play one of Harden or you're going to go to Irving. So I don't think a lot of people are going to get to him. I think a lot of people are just going to come down to Boogie if they're going to play in that range. So I don't think he's going to be owned. 8,700 on FanDuel, though. I mean, again, I have no problem playing him. There's no Aaron Gordon either, so he could get there. Cole Anthony, though, very interesting. 5,400 on FanDuel, 5,900 on DraftKings. He's had on a pretty good run here over the last couple games. 29, 38, 28, and 30. Again, I think a better FanDuel play, but I have no problem playing him on DraftKings as well. The minutes are there. He seems to be getting a little bit more comfortable in that guard role. I'm sorry, the point guard role. Terrence Ross, 4,500 on FanDuel. Love that price tag as well. He is 5K over on DraftKings. No Fournier, so he should come out chucking. Hasn't had a big game, but that doesn't mean Ross can't get out there and do it. Dwayne Bacon, man, 4,100 on FanDuel, 4,100 on DraftKings. Had a good game, 31 minutes, put up 22 fantasy points. At this 4,100 mark, I don't mind playing him. 22, 10, 24, and 20. He should play, into the low 30s minutes, been 0.70 fantasy points per minute. Usage isn't heavy, but a price that at that tag, I don't mind throwing him in here. We'll throw him in this forward spot here, just point per dollar. Again, they're not going to have Fournier, and he's probably going to play a boatload of minutes, so he's cheap. So I don't mind looking at him. And we got 3,700 left in this lineup we're building here, and this is a pretty solid lineup. I don't mind it. Maybe if we don't want to go to Wall and somebody else, but I still like the way this lineup is coming together, even with the punt to Walker. But again, when you play a guy like Harden, this is what happens. Over on the Portland side, again, Dame Lillard's always going to be in play at 10K, but I don't think people are going to pay it for him, with Harden and Irving on the slate. 9-8 on FanDuel is a fantastic tag, though. No problem there. I think more playable there than on DraftKings. So more of a FanDuel play. Enes Kanter, 7,200 on FanDuel, 7,500 on DraftKings. He's getting so priced up here. I don't know if I want to play Kanter, but 35, 41, and 40 over his last three, playing mid-30s minutes. Been 1.22 fantasy points per minute. If you're going to give me 30 minutes out of him, I think he's squarely in play. He's just getting to the point where there's not a whole lot of meat left on the bone. That's the only issue. Gary Trent Jr., 6,600 on FanDuel, 6,400 on DraftKings. Another guy's playing monster minutes with no CJ McCollum. No problem looking at him. Looking at 35, 38, 40 minutes, 28, 35, 41. There's meat left on the bone here. Don't mind Gary Trent Jr. on both sites. Other than that, if you want to look at Melo at 5,500 on DraftKings and 5,700 on FanDuel, I don't think this is the slate to look at it. I think basically it's Lillard, Kanter, and Gary Trent Jr. here. I don't think you need to look any on a slate this big. Even with Jones Jr. coming back, it's probably going to hurt Rodney Hood. It's probably going to hurt Melo a little bit. I just don't think you need to go this deep. I'd play the guys that are playing monster minutes on a slate this size, and that's Lillard, Trent, and Kanter. Let's move on to the next game. Philly at Sacramento. We have a 231.5 over under here. Philly favored by 4.5. It looks like no massive injury news to consider on this, so we should have a full complement of minutes for the Philly guys. 117 implied at team total for him. Joel Embiid, 10.6 on FanDuel, 10.5 on DraftKings, 1.59 fantasy points per minute. He's getting it done this year. So if you wanted to get off Harden and you wanted to go a Joel Embiid at center, no problem with that. Sacramento, I am not worried about them at all. He should be able to do whatever he wants against Rashawn Holmes. Ben Simmons, 9,100 on FanDuel, 8,400 on DraftKings. I'll pass on that. I don't really want that. Tobias Harris, no thank you. 8,200 on FanDuel, 7,700 on DraftKings. That's a full fade for me when the whole team's back here. Seth Curry, 4,100 on FanDuel, 4,200 on DraftKings. We can consider him, like you said, 27 minutes against Brooklyn, put up 24 fantasy points. So he's another one of those guys like Bacon, should play good minutes. I think Bacon's going to get a few more shots. So for me, I think it's just Embiid here. Even though with this massive team total, they can kind of spread things around. I don't think you have to go to one guy here. You can always take a shot on Danny Green if you want to. 3,700 on FanDuel, 3,800 on DraftKings. He's come down enough where I think you can consider him if he gets hot. But it's going to be Joel Embiid in the show here, and I don't think you need to force a lot of these guys in your lineups, even though it's a great game total. On the other side, De'Aaron Fox in Sacramento. Fox 8,800 on DraftKings, 8,600 on FanDuel, 1.17 fantasy points per minute. I still don't trust Luke Walton. This is not a great matchup for them. Still have 113 implied team total. Harrison Barnes, 6,900 on FanDuel, 6,400 on DraftKings, 22, 47, 41, and 45. 3 of his last 4, he got her done. There's meat left on the bone here going up against Philly. I don't mind taking some shots at him. Halliburton, love me some Halliburton, 6,200 on DraftKings, 64 on FanDuel. He is priced up, but he's been playing around 30 minutes, been around a fantasy point per minute. 27, 45, 36, and 29 over his last 4. So if he sniffs 35 minutes, he can get this tag as well. And he is a direct. Say this: he's going to take Bagley's minutes, so you don't want to play Halliburton and Bagley in the same lineup. Maybe they'll need some of Bagley's size, but again, you're trusting Luke Walton in your money when you come to rostering any Sacramento Kings. So. Please understand that Luke Walton is a horrible coach. So really, it's really tough for me. I guess if I'm looking at going anyone here, Buddy Hield, 6,300 on FanDuel, 6,800 on DraftKings is a little much for me, a little rich. I think really I'm just looking at maybe Halliburton and maybe Barnes, and they're just more secondary and tertiary plays for me on this slate. I don't think I really need to go there. So even though we got a decent total, I just think these teams both spread around the usage and points that none of them are must plays, and more of them are tournament plays. So nobody for me on this team. And the last game of the night, Boston and Utah. Marcus Smart is still out. No Langford for Boston either. Jaylen Brown is questionable. And on Utah side, no Mike Conley. That is the big news there. We will start on the Boston side. If we don't have any Jaylen Brown, Kemba Walker is priced at 6,600 on DraftKings, Over here on FanDuel, he is priced at 5,700. So again, lock and load Kemba Walker over on FanDuel. His minutes should be starting to creep up into the 30s here. Played 33 and 32 over his last few games. I think we should see more of the same, 32, 34 minutes. 1.05 fantasy points per minute for the season, but that'll be an uptick if we don't have any Jaylen Brown. I still think you can play Kemba Walker on FanDuel regardless if Brown plays or not. For DraftKings, though, I would need Brown to be out to pay that tag for Walker, but definitely in play. Might even like him, even going up against Utah. I think it's fine. Tatum 9,200 on DraftKings and 9,700 on FanDuel. Another play. I have no problem playing Tatum if we have no Jaylen Brown. Even against Utah, he can get it done. He's got such a sweet jump shot, and he'll have all the usage in the world. So 30% plus usage if we don't have Brown easily. Daniel Tice at 4,800 on DraftKings, 4,900 on FanDuel. Knowing that I love to play up against Utah, but if it's a last piece, I don't mind it. And that's really all I'm looking at. I'm not going to force a lot of guys in here against Utah. But again, we need to have this Jaylen Brown news, because if he is out, Kemba Walker becomes a fantastic play. Over on Utah, again, Mike Conley is out. So we should see a lot of usage here for Donovan Mitchell. 8,000 on FanDuel is a great tag on him. 8,100 on DraftKings. No problem playing him in all formats. No problem there at all. Jingling Joe Ingles, 4,500 on FanDuel is a steal. He should, with Conley out, he should play a lot more point guard here. 5,800 on DraftKings is a pretty expensive tag. But again, I think he'll handle the ball way more without Conley out there. So consider him in tournaments. Cash play easily on FanDuel at 4,500. That's just an egregious price. Again, should play low to mid 30 minutes, 0.83 fantasy points per minute for the season. The usage will go up a little bit for him as well. So we have to consider him. And same thing, Jordan Clarkson, again, is way too cheap on FanDuel. 5K, it's just way too cheap. I don't care if it's against Boston. 6K on DraftKings is a little pricey. 25, 32 over his last 3. But I still think we can consider him. And these are more FanDuel plays, because those just egregious prices on these guys for their upside for Clarkson and Ingles. And like I said, I think they're very much so cash playable. So that's where I would look. Gobert at 8,500. I don't think you need to go there on this slate. 7,200 on DraftKings is a little more tolerable, but you got guys like Draymond Green and Boogie Cousins that I think I would prefer more at that center position. But maybe that makes him a great tournament play against Boston. So if you want to look at him there, but that's really it for me. I'm not going to go, Royce O'Neal, always a FanDuel play with the minutes he plays. He does have some games, but nobody I'm forcing in there. So I think it's Joe Ingles and Clarkson is fantastic cash plays on FanDuel. Donovan Mitchell cash on both sites, no problem playing him. And that's about it. I don't think I need any Bogdanovich in my life. At that price at 6,500 on FanDuel and 6,100 on DraftKings, I'm not really looking there. I'll stick to the two guys that I feel comfortable with. So, there's the rundown, man. 7-game slate, fantastic. Tuesday, February 9th. So I hope this kind of get your feet wet a little bit on the slate. Again, we got some injury consideration to see what's going on, but we do have some of it out. So again, if you're not a DFSArmy member, head on over there, sign up, use promo code CashCake, save yourself 10%, and we will have you covered on everything. NASCAR starting, just dropped the NASCAR video with my buddy Taco. Check that out here. I'll link it up above. Got the Clash tonight, so if you want to get your feet wet in NASCAR, we got the Clash tonight. We got the duels on Thursday, Trucks Friday, Xfinity Saturday, the Daytona 500 on Sunday. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And hey, your VIP membership gets everything. Or if you just want the NASCAR package, we got that as well. So with that, again, if you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. We'll keep knocking these out for you. Hope you win some money today. Enjoy your Tuesday. Deuces.